Hello, it's Deborah, Journey Coach Leader number 9395. February 2018 Bloom Box is amazing, called Spread Happiness. Let me just change the view here so you can get a better look at it. And this is the stamp set. Here, I'll show you this way. And it is so beautiful, lined images. And this kit, there's a video on YouTube that Kim Kesty has done, and they show you some different ways to color it using different mediums like the pan pastels, the splash, watercolor pencils, liquid color. Love lined images because it is so easy to really get artistic and creative with your coloring and use all kinds of different mediums and stuff. And what is exciting about this Bloom Box is that it does have a coordinating die set that you can get as an optional add-on to it, and mine is supposed to get here on Monday, so I'm very excited. But I saw one of the cards didn't really need the die set, so I thought I would create that card with you here today. So let's take a look at what comes in the kit. You get 4 envelopes for your cards, and you get your kits that has the embellishments like the ribbon, and there's some of the Journey sparkle dust. You get your die cuts, the items that you need, the cardstock and stuff. And this is the one that we're going to make today, is this one right here, Spread Happiness. And you get this nice color book. It's like a kit class or card class, and shows you everything. So the one that we're going to make is right here. And I like how they did the coloring, how it fades out to the edges, so I'm going to try to do that as well.
We've got Limeade Splash for the card base, Lemon Drop for a pop of color, and some whipped cream cardstock for the sentiment and the panel. And I cut out an extra piece of whipped cream for the inside of my card. I'm going to use Black Licorice True Color Fusion ink. I'm going to go ahead and take the 2 flower images off of the panel, as well as the sentiment that says Spread Happiness, and I'll get the narrow strip of whipped cream cardstock and a block for my sentiment, and then we will go ahead and ink that up with the Black Licorice True Color Fusion ink. And the sentiment will get stamped on the right portion of that whipped cream cardstock strip. There we go. So I've got my envelope, and I'm going to stamp the image with the 2 flowers on it in the bottom left of that envelope. So I inked it up with Black Licorice ink, and just going to put the flower and a little bit of the second flower to that bottom left edge there. Now I've got the whipped cream cardstock for the inside panel of my card, and I'm going to ink the same image up with Black Licorice ink and stamp some of the flower down at the bottom left edge of that whipped cream panel as well. Now I've got the sentiment that says Sweet Friend, and I'm inking that up with the Black Licorice ink, and I'm going to stamp that to the bottom of my whipped cream cardstock next to that flower, so they will see this when they open the card. Beautiful flower, Sweet Friend. Now I've got the smaller whipped cream cardstock piece and the single flower inked up with Black Licorice ink, and I'm going to stamp that all the way to the left with a little bit of it going off the cardstock and kind of up high. Then I put the 2 flower stamp on, inking that up with the Black Licorice ink, and that's going to be stamped a little bit lower. Ink that up again with the Black Licorice ink, and then I'll stamp it next to that up so it's a little bit higher. Then we'll use just the single flower stamp and ink that back up with the Black Licorice, and I'm gonna decide where to put it. Eventually I'll put it down at the bottom. That right upper edge looks a little empty, so I'm just gonna ink up the single flower and stamp a few petals there. To watercolor my flowers, I'm going to use number 34
from the Journey Color Splash watercolor pencil set. I've just got a bowl of water and my small blending brush. I put a little bit of water on my clear acetate workable sheet, and then I'm bringing my wet brush to the pencil lid and getting some of that concentrated color added to my blob of water and get it to the color that I want. You can put water in the barrel of the blending brush, but I haven't practiced enough to where I feel I have good enough control, so I prefer to use this method for my watercoloring. I'm just going to lay down a color on all of my flower petals. You'll notice that the center of the flowers is darker and it kind of fades out to the edge, and so that's the same look I'm going to go for. I've got my paintbrush and the bristles are wet. I'm just going to touch those bristles to my lid of the pencil so my concentrated color is on my paintbrush, and apply that color straight to my paper along the base of the petals where it meets the center. And then once I've got the color where I want it to be, I'm going to kind of wet my paintbrush and get rid of some of that extra color so I can spread that color out towards the edge of the petals so that hopefully it will be dark and then fade so it's lighter as it gets to the edge of the petals. Okay, so I'm going to clean off my workable sheet and give you a close-up look of these beautiful flowers there. And then let's go ahead and color our leaves with the Journey Color Splash pencils. I'm going to use number 17, 18, and 21, using the same technique with a little water on my workable sheet, and then bringing some of that color from the pencils into that puddle of water and blending it until I get what I think I'm going to like. I'll bring in a piece of cardstock scrap just to test the coloring to see if it's the shade I want, and I'm going to add some more color to it. I'm going to clean my brush before I use my yellow, that way I don't get any of that green onto my pencil lid there. And then we'll test that color again, and I'm happy with that. And so I'll just lay down some color on all of my leaves and any stems that need it. I'm going to bring that first panel back in and add green just to the edges of those leaves. The color has had a chance to dry somewhat. It dries pretty quickly on this paper, and so when I add the color now, it gives it more of a distinct look. It doesn't blend as well into it, so I'm going to add some dimension, some shading just along the edges of the leaves with the same green that was layered on all of the leaves there. I'm going to use number 14 of the Journey Color Splash watercolor pencils, and just with a wet brush, touching it to the tip of that pencil, I'm going to add this beautiful, I guess it's a lemon drop color to the center of these flowers. To add a nice subtle shine and shimmer to these flowers, I'm going to use the sparkle silk. So I'm just going to shake it up real good. It's got a little metal ball in there to help you shake it. I'm trying to show you the shimmer and the shine of it. It's just so beautiful. So I'm just going to shake that up good and put a couple drops of it onto a clear block. And then using my blending brush, add a little bit of water to it, not too much, but a little bit of water to that, mix that up, and then I'm just going to paint this beautiful shimmer and shine onto all of my flowers. You can add it to wherever you would like to add that beauty to your card. A piece of limeade cardstock is included in the kit, and this is 8.5 by 5.5, so I'll just fold that in half along the 8.5 inch side so that we have a standard card base that is 4 1/4 by 5.5, using my crease tool to burnish the edge of that so it's a good nice fold. I've got the panel for the inside of the card that has just that one flower and the sentiment sweet friend, and I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of that and center that to the inside of my card base. If I get 3 sides centered, then it's a good chance that I've got that 4th side centered, so we'll just secure that in there well and set that aside. I've got the lemon drop panel and my smaller panel that has all of the flowers. Now the watercolor does warp it a little bit, so I've got a little bit of extra adhesive going on along the edges of this cardstock. I am enjoying the Easy Glide adhesive from Fun Stampers Journey. It's got little pieces of rectangular adhesive and it seems pretty thick. I'm gonna do a comparison of it with the ATG gun sometime, but so far I am very pleased with it and I like the strength that it has and it's easy to use. So I'm just going to line this white panel up along the top with the lemon drop panel there and adhere that well and press that on the back just so I make sure I've got good adhesion with my adhesive, since that panel is a little warped. There is a beautiful strip of the lemon drop sparkle tape included in the kit. It is so pretty. I love that. So that's going to go down on the right side, just right below the whipped cream panel, and it gives it such a nice little added sparkle there. There are 2 strips of the Gingham Lavender Fusion ribbon included in the kit. This is just beautiful ribbon. So the shorter piece of ribbon I'm going to put across where the whipped cream meets the lemon drop. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of that and just get my ribbon straight and just fold it around to the back so that it gets pressed into that adhesive and it'll keep that in place for me. I tend to worry probably too much, so I'm just going to add a little bit of the white liner tape across the ribbon on the back side just to make sure that it is going to stay there and be nicely secured. And there we go. Isn't that so pretty? And then with this longer piece, they say to do a double bow, but it looks to me like they did a triple bow. So I'm just gonna take one edge of the ribbon here and hold it against my finger with my thumb, wrap it around my finger, got it whatever, about the size bow you want. And I'm just gonna wrap it around once, twice, and 3 times. Then put that between my fingers and the ribbon, bring it around, wrap it back around that top bow, bring it through and pull it tight. I'm going to do my best to kind of have it in the middle. There we go. Pull that tight. And there's my triple bow. You can kind of bring your bows, separate them a little bit. There we go. That's going to go down there. In the directions, they recommend that you use the whipped cream journey thread to secure your triple bow to the ribbon that goes across your cardstock. So I'm just going to kind of decide where I want it placed. I don't mind if some of it goes off of the card base, and I slit the journey thread underneath the ribbon that goes across the cardstock. I'm going to get a piece, a journey glue dot, to help keep my bow in place while I secure it with that journey thread there. So I've got that secured in place, and I'm going to get that whipped cream journey thread tied into a bow here, and that will be a nice look to my card, as well as keep that triple bow in place and just be a nice feature for the front of the card. I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive onto the back of the strip of paper with Spread Happiness and get that lined up where I would like it to be on that bottom portion of the lemon drop paper. Then I've got some of it hanging off, so I'll just trim that off with my scissors there. Using the Journey Days stapler, I'm just going to staple one of these silver brush staples onto that left edge of Spread Happiness, and I'm ready to put this front panel onto my card front. I cannot wait to get my medium size foam squares. They are coming very soon, so I'm just going to be using the small foam squares to pop this panel up on the front of the card. Once you get all the backings off of the foam squares, go ahead and center that onto the card front, and then press down and trim your ribbon with your scissors. I just love this gingham ribbon. It's so soft and smooth and just a real joy to work with. So there is the finished card, and here is the inside. Sweet friend. Let's go ahead and bring in that envelope, and I think it needs a little something more. The Tag Elements AT set is probably my most used set in my stash. I just love the little sentiments and use them pretty much on every envelope, as well as some smaller like tag items. So I'm going to put Thinking of You with black licorice ink right on my envelope next to that flower. And now my card and envelope is complete and ready to spread happiness to someone. The bloom box just really made this card so fun, easy to create, and I look forward to creating the other cards in the kit with it. I love that lemon drop sparkle tape. So beautiful.